Is that why you dressed up today?
No, I dressed up today because I went to that mixer I was telling you guys about last week. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, so little context. Last week I talked about this newsletter thing. I signed up for this
Am I
social.
supposed to be able to see you right now? By the way, I just see the dual links.
Oh no, they can see me. They can. Yeah, they're seeing this screen, but with the dual links thing.
I was just seeing.
I mean, I can pull up the Twitter. I don't have a Twitter bookmark for you guys this time, but I do have this cosplay because right now they can kind of see like the face cam of what I got. But if you want to see a full thing of it, this is an old picture from an anime convention I went to. But this is the full body thing of what I'm wearing if I like was to yank out the earphone and stand up right now.
Well, shoot, I'm about to use that discount code and buy a Yugi wig.
Yeah, I'm Dark Magician Girl, so yeah, anything. If you www.rollcosplay.com, use the link below, save 18% off using the discount code RCY18 until January 5th, 2023 for the Christmas and year-end sale. Anyway, so yeah, little background on this. Last week I talked about this social media mixer that I got. I'm just gonna say it right now, it was a scam. I should have known better, but like I was. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I'll tell the story from the beginning. If you weren't here last week, I got this email from this newsletter that I'm no longer subscribed to now, but at the time I was subscribed to. And it just said, like, oh, we're having a little party and stuff, a little social media mix. I'm like, oh, great, like, I get to meet other content creators. Because on TikTok, I make videos. I used to do it twice a week. Now I do it every single day. Sometimes I record 2 episodes and then just, like, upload once a day. But, like, basically, yeah, I dress up in cosplay.
We're on the grind.
Yeah, do a little TikTok dance, the things the new kids do or whatever. I'm, like, 29, but, like, I'm trying to stay young by doing dances and feeling hip with the kids. And, so I was like, okay, well, my area of expertise here is cosplays. So what am I going to do at this mixer? I'll dress up in cosplay, that way I can, like, kind of share my brand and stuff. So, and then I get a bunch of call-offs the day of the mixer. That starts at 7 o'clock. And they're like, can you work until, like, 2 p.m.? I'm like, yes. And then they're like, hey, we got another call-off. Can you work until 6 p.m.? I'm like, and I'm, like, calculating, like, the time and everything. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have from 6 to 7 to get off work, get to this mixer, get changed, right? And it's like a 40-minute drive. So I'm like figuring out in their brain, if I like drive back home, it's going to take another like 15 minutes and 15 minutes. So I won't have time to drive back. So I big brained this. I'm in my employee uniform. I get off work and then I have my whole cosplay in the car. I like packed it up beforehand. I did the run and stuff. And then if you guys have ever like done stage or like any costume or, put on some Halloween costume, it takes a long freaking time.
Yeah.
And that's just for a costume. For this thing, you gotta put on like a wig. You gotta like get the tights on and stuff. Like it's tough, man. Like there is a double standard for like putting on like women's clothes and men's clothes. Like I'm gonna say it, man. But yeah. So I drive over to a place, right, and I get there 20 minutes before the party because it's a 40-minute drive, right? I just drive straight from work there. I'm like, okay, I got 20 minutes, and I'm like, at first I was like, maybe I'll use the public bathroom. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be like kind of weird stuff. So I'm like, I big brain this. I find like a spot in the corner, and then I like kind of like just like like lower the seat down, like crouch down. Yeah, tint the windows and stuff, and then I do the sneaky like put on like the dress and then take off the shirt while the dress is still on thing. I'm like getting the tights on and stuff. And if you guys have ever put on tights, I don't know why you guys would ever put on tights, but like if you guys ever put on tights one day, you'll learn the struggle of putting on tights in a car. It's great when you're standing up or sitting down. When you're in a car in a confined space, you're like really trying to like shimmy around and stuff.
You're just asking for a run.
And I gotta run, and you can't like Zeke can see it, but I gotta run right down the middle. Like I hear like a shh. I'm like, no, and I could like barely see. I don't want to turn on the light because then everyone was seeing me. So I'm just like using my phone light to barely see. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. It's gonna be like at this like arcade. It's gonna be like really dark and everything. Get on everything, spray the perfume, get on it. Look at the clock. I've got like 5 minutes. I'm like rushing to like comb the wig and like make sure my hair looks great. I'm like, okay, Got 1 minute before 7. It's perfect. I get out the car, walk up and stuff. Boom, 7 o'clock hits. I'm like, perfect. I made it on the dot. I walk up to the place. And then it's at like this internet cafe and stuff. So they've got like a bunch of arcade systems and like PC consoles and video games and all that. And then like there's like a few, like I can't even tell like who's an employee, who's like a customer. There's just like a few people there, maybe like less than 20 people there, really small. But there's like a bunch of people at the front desk. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go to the front desk because no one's really like, saying anything. There's no signs or anything. I'm like, what's going on? And like, it looks like the place just open because it advertises like an invite only thing, but like it's like open. There's just like people there.
Public place.
It's a public place, yeah. It's like a Chuck E. Cheese's almost. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then finally, like one of them, like, cause you see someone like dressed, you think like I'm literally like peacocking. I'm like showing off. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like, is that like nobody's talking to me? Like someone finally catches my eye. They're like, oh, it's like, can I help you? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, here. I got this email saying I was supposed to be here at like 7 o'clock for like this mixer party thing. He was like, oh yeah, the social media mixer. Yeah. He's like, it's like, do you have your QR code? I'm like, yeah. And then he scans. I'm like, okay, great. Okay. This guy will know what he's doing. He's clearly an employee. And then he's like, hold out your hand. I'm like, oh, a wristband. And like, he gives me a wristband. I'm like, okay, now it's official. Every event has a wristband. And then he's like, all right. And then I'm like, and he like just goes back to work. I'm like, oh, well, now what happens? He's like, what? I'm like, oh, well, I got the email, but it didn't really like have any details and stuff. I'm not really. He's like, oh, did you just like stumble here? I'm like, no, I'm like subscribed to the newsletter. He's like, oh, I got you. You got the newsletter. He's like, yeah. So this is our social media mixer. There's other creators here, and you can just mingle with them and talk about stuff. I'm like, okay. And then he like walks away again. And then I'm like, in my head, I'm just thinking, this is like a public place. So like, I don't know who's a content creator that's here for the mixer. And who's just a customer?
Yeah, just here to play Minecraft.
There's no clear area because there's no.
You don't know who the NPCs are.
Yeah, and who the main characters are. There's no clear area, right, where there's like a table section off of people wearing purple wristbands, being like, hello, fellow. It's just like a bunch of people on PCs sitting by themselves. There's like a table of a few people, which were probably them, but like it was clear like friends that were just talking to each other. So I was like, am I supposed to just like walk up to everybody and like try and like look at their wristband in this like super dark like windowless place with the lights off and be like, are you here for the? And they're like, go away, I'm playing here, I'm a customer. I'm like, oh sorry, it's like, I'm like, okay. And then like I checked the email, I was like, oh, there's like free drinks and stuff, and like there wasn't free drinks. I was like, what? I had to pay for like an A&W. I know.
Emails.
And then he's like, oh, like, yeah, the PCs are free to play. And I'm like, what? I'm like, so I'm just supposed to, like, play on the PCs and not talk to people? And then I see, like, an arcade. I'm like, oh, okay, an arcade's a little more social. He's like, oh, the arcade's, like, a separate thing, so you gotta pay for it. So, like, I pay for the arcade. I pay for, like, a Snickers bar and, like, because I'm starving and, like, this, like, soda thing. And I'm like, well, like, it was supposed to be from 7-Eleven. I don't want to just, like, leave after, like, showing up. So, like, I, like, stand around awkwardly for an hour. And I'm like, I don't want to just stand in the corner. I'm going to look like a loser. So I just, like, plan, like, some of the arcade games for, like, 30 minutes. I'm like, I can feel it. The last time I cried, I can't even remember the last time I cried. I think it was, like, My Hero Academia. Oh, no, it was Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, the anime that we were watching.
Yeah.
Towards the season finale.
Yeah.
That was the last
no spoilers, but yeah.
That was the last time I had tears down my eyes. And that was, like, a year ago or something. Like, I don't cry often, and, like, I was ready to cry. I was like, oh my god, I literally just, like, got scammed. I wasted all my time dressing up. But I'm a man. I'm not gonna let them see me cry. I'm just gonna, like... An hour passes, nothing's happened. I'm like, you know what? Ezekiel gets off work at, like, 11. I'm just gonna, like, pick him up. I text him, like, hey... I'm gonna leave early. Do you want me to, like, pick you up? He's like, yeah. And then it's like...
No, I said, yeah.
He's like, that? Yeah, it was bad. Oh. So then, this is the great... And then I get in the car, and as I'm getting in the car, two people... Well, first of all, two people, like, open the door, and they're like, oh, nice costume. I'm like, oh, thanks. I'm like... It's like, these are the two nicest people that aren't... They're just taking a smoke break. The two nicest people I met were two people taking a smoke break, man. Shout out to those guys.
Oh, no.
And then, as I'm walking to the car, I see two people get out of their car that they just parked. they're wearing full like Santa outfits and Santa hats, and I'm like, yo, I love your costume. It's like, oh my god, yeah, you look great. And then I get in the car and I'm just like, the four most interesting people literally showed up as I'm leaving. And I can't go back now because now I'm just gonna look like a creep walking back in and be like,
well, maybe you were taking a smoke
You
break.
could have been taking a smoke break.
no, I couldn't. I was so devastated. I just got out of there. Yeah, you know what? I got home, I picked up Ezekiel, and then we played Tangle Tower together, and we had a great time. So it really was the friendships we made along the way.
Yeah, the real mixer was the friendships we made
Yeah.
with the people who were having a smoke break.
So anyway, that's why I'm in the costume. I just wanted to kind of have this tale about. Man, it sucked, but I mean, I'll say at the end of the day, if there's any lesson you kids want to take from this, is if you're looking for other friends that are interested in the same hobbies and nerd events, just go to a Pokemon local, go to a Yu-Gi-Oh local, go to a Magic or whatever video game you play, tabletop game you play, right? If it doesn't have local, go to an anime convention. I will guarantee
or a Discord or something.
Yep, I have met way more friends on Discord servers and anime conventions than I will ever have met at these mixers or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just my generation. I'm not able to make friends at a bar or something, but it's for me, you have to have that icebreaker, right? We have to start the conversation with Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh plays Reactor Master Duel and Pokemon TCG Live, right? I don't know. It's